as you can see your breath. Out here in the lake of fact, breaking tables like it's poetry. Where else would you rather be? Pinto, Ron, Elvis, and the lay poncho. The members that you need to know. 'Cause once you're out here now, you're family. Where else would you rather be? Where else would you rather be?
Welcome into the Nickel City Crew. I am your host, Rob Crippen. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Nickel City Crew. This episode, along with all of our episodes, are presented by Crippen Legacy Entertainment here on Spreaker and StreamYard. We're so glad that you're joining us for some of your Buffalo Bills and NFL content again today. And as always, these are my Bills thoughts said out loud.
It's a vibe so ridiculous. Since 12 plus 83 was 6. The shout rocking like a symphony. Where else would you like to be?
All right, let's get straight to it. I'm really excited about tonight's episode. You know, it's funny because, you all know Nickel City Crew. I was 5, 6, 7, and 8 for the Super Bowl run. And it's funny because those teams, shaped me and shaped my Bills fandom. And I've told those stories before, but back when you look, you can go to profootballreference.com. You look at some of those teams back in the 90s. We didn't win every division every year. We didn't win the division every single time we went out there. And one of the thorns in our sides was none other than these Miami Dolphins that are coming to Orchard Park this week. I mean, you go back to the history of that team and the rivalry with the Bills in the 90s, and you think about Dan Marino, you think about the Mark brothers, Clayton and Duper. You think about just the rival, Coach Shula against Coach Levy, and just there was so much into those games. I mean, Jim Kelly against Marino just seemed like it was the heavyweight titans going at it. There were a few other matchups that you wanted to see, and they even had playoff rivalries. So this week for me hits different. Joining me tonight, as always, my co-host, riding shotgun, Adam Dump Truck Rupsick. I know he's traveling back from Syracuse today. Holla at him. Check him out on Instagram at Adam Rupsick, RUPCZYK. Holla at the crew, DT. I mean, this is Dolphins week, Squish the Fish week. I mean, I'm really excited, man. This stuff hits different for me, man. I'm an 80s baby, man. Growing up in the 90s, this hits different for me, man. I love to get after the Dolphins, man. It just hits different for me. I don't know how to explain it.
The rivalry's real, baby. It's in action. It's everywhere. And like you said it, I mean, you got a few years on me, Rob. But when growing up, it was never the Patriots. It was never the Jets. It was always Squish the Fish, baby. Right. I remember walking into games as a kid, and they had the Dolphins on the little toy Dolphins on a stick, right. And you'd walk by and step on it, and hey, get ready to squish the fish. And good to be back, Nickel City. We're out here. This is football now. I'm pumped, baby. We were pumped to get it. We finally got it. And now we're rolling. Almost, we'll get into week 4, and you hit that used to be the quarter point of the year, and it's time to go, baby. It's time to go. So I'm excited.
Click clack, we
got
back.
Football in the air. Yeah.
Yeah, click clack, we back. It's absolutely right. It's funny because you hit on something that I had thought about earlier today, because the Patriots for me were never a rivalry. That doesn't add up as a rivalry for me. That's big brother beating up on little brother. You've got 20 years of dominance, 20 years of Bill Belichick and Brady beating our heads into the dirt. That's not a rivalry. You've got to actually win some games with your opponent to actually be considered a rival. And even though we went against the Dolphins last year and went 2-1, it was a situation, DT, where they gave us some games last year. And I mean, we even talked about the snow game at the end of the game, at the end of the year, the snow globe game. And then we've got the playoff game the week after with Skylar Thompson coming in, and that game was way closer than any of us ever anticipated. You've got to have some type of back and forth for it to be a rivalry, and it seems like the Dolphins are stepping up their game. And obviously we'll get into what they did last week that everybody has heard about, and they're the buzz of the league right now. But the Patriots never felt like that for me. It was Brady and Belichick owning us. This is a rivalry when you've got back and forth, two talented teams, great in the standings, great in the eyes of the NFL community. And it just seemed, it's so juicy. I can't wait to just even start talking about it, because I know we've got to still go over last week. But boy, a rivalry is when it's back and forth, and the Patriots never even resonated for me. They were just beating us up.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost a defeated streak against Tom Brady. I remember the 2 wins the Bills had against him, very vividly because they were so
Absolutely.
memorable because it never happened. So it's going to be a good week. We'll get into it, but let's let it roll out, Rob.
Yeah, man. Crew. I mean, listen, last week we saw how the Bills took care of business on the road against the Washington Commanders. It was an interesting game to kind of look at because there were so many different things that you could take away from it. One of the things that obviously was the biggest story, DT, was that the defense kind of just, it just took over. I mean, it was a situation where we were all over them from the very beginning of the game, not really giving them any type of room to breathe. We had already heard beforehand that Sam Howell, it's only his 4th start. He likes to hold the ball a little bit. He likes to let plays develop and get the ball to his receivers downfield. And it was a situation where everything kind of came to fruition. He was holding the ball, and we were getting after him big time. And none other than Terrel Bernard, who we've got to get to, because the defense, it was ferocious on Sunday, DT. And it was a situation where everything seemed to be clicking on that side of the ball. And it wasn't because of the fact that, Sean McDermott was dialing up these exotic blitzes or anything like that. It seemed to be just more 4 men up front, creating pressure, creating a situation where he had to hold the ball. And then obviously you've got to have, in order for him to hold the ball, you got to have good coverage on the back end. And it seemed like the coverage was great because of the fact that he didn't have anywhere to go with the ball freely, for sure. It seemed like
great scheme, great game plan. I mean, they had it was never even a whiff of success for that Commanders offense. I mean, the Bills were swarming them early. They didn't bring that much blitz. They didn't bring that much pressure, which was great to see as a fan, and when you can get pressure without it. As the defense has always been good from year after year after year under McDermott, the pressure has been lacking. And this year the pressure seems better than it has been even last year with Von Miller. And, it seems a little better than it was. So that's good to see as a fan. The defense kind of overall, the picks were coming in bunches. Everybody had some juice, and offensively, the same deal, very efficient, but good team win overall. Great game plan. This is, what we're used to in this new era of Bills fans, what we need to happen, to be honest. We got to take care of these games and these teams that are a little inferior to us. I mean, credit to the Commanders. I think they'll be fine. They may even make the playoffs this year, but you got to win these inferior games. And the past 2 weeks, the Bills have done strictly that.
Yeah, they really have, and it's a situation where you don't want to give up away any wins, like we already talked about with week 1 and how we lamented that missed opportunity. And it was a situation where they just kind of jumped on these guys from the beginning, like we had already talked about, and really didn't give them any air to breathe. It was fun to see Terrel Bernard, DT. I mean, we've got to give this guy his flowers because of the fact that it was a situation where this guy was all over the field. It was something really to behold. The one thing about Tremaine Edmonds, and I know that we've talked about, Tremaine, and we've kind of caught some flack because some people thought that we've been a little bit harsh on him. And I know that he was a polarizing figure, but the only really main thing, and I know, remember when we talked with Big Mike from, Not Your Average Podcast in the 716, it was so what he had talked about that night. He's always making those tackles and stuff like that, and the dreads are flowing, but he's not making any type of big plays. And Terrel Bernard, he was a menace on the field, DT. I mean, it's not even over exaggeration. Like, he was everywhere on the field making plays. And I think that's the difference of what we were looking for. It was always like 49, you're there, you're rangy. I know that you're kind of deterring the quarterbacks from throwing your way sometimes when you're in coverage, but where are the splash plays? Where are the interceptions? Where are the forced fumbles? Where are the big sacks? When are you going to make some stuff pop? And boy, man, Bernard, he did all of those things and more on Sunday, man. It was crazy, man. AFC Defensive Player of the Weekend. It was, deservedly so.
Kudos to 4-3, man. I mean, we're talking a small sample size, right? But it's kind of, we talked about it a few weeks ago. It was a 3-man competition at linebacker. He gets hurt in training camp, and then comes back and is just the starter. So he was probably the starter the whole time. He had the edge the whole time. Yeah, they had a plan. They had a plan in place. They let 49 walk, with this plan in place. So it's good to see kind of the foundation of that coming together in a small sample size. But, he's showing great things. If you break that down last week, it wasn't the best stat. And granted, the Bears are horrible. And, they had a tough game against the Chiefs, but I saw a stat, 11 targets to somebody Tremaine Edmonds was guarding on Sunday against the Chiefs. They threw it to him 11 times,
Right.
and 10 receptions out of those 11.
Yeah.
You know, and on the reverse, we got 2 sacks, an interception, a forced fumble for Terrel Bernard. I mean, granted, 2 very different teams and very different circumstances, but, you know, that just kind of puts it into perspective for me. Like you said, yeah, he was great. He was a big body, a first-round pick in Josh's draft. You'd like to see him, you know, produce for us a little more, but now we do have a guy that is producing. Hopefully he can keep that longevity, and Artie's had some injury issues, so you know, knock on wood that we're not going to be running in any of that BS as the year goes on. But, you know, the production is there. And I love that. I love seeing that stat of they just threw 249. They're not scared of him. Nobody's really scared of him because he's never really made people pay. And 1 week on tape, I'll tell you what, Tua is not going to be looking to get it anywhere near 43.
It doesn't seem like he will, because it was a situation where this guy was literally everywhere. I mean, he was shooting gaps. They call it triggering. We teach that in football for Bobby's football team. You know what I mean? That I help coach. DT, you know that I help out with them, and like we're always talking about our linebackers triggering downhill, not waiting for the blocks to come to you, but actually triggering and forcing the issue, forcing the action. On that fumble recovery that you're talking about, he was just active, and it was him and Taron Johnson, and they're all there, and they're getting to the quarterback, and all of a sudden the ball's on the ground, and you know what I mean, 4-3's ready to go get it. And you can't be a part of that play if you're not already in the play, so to speak. So I loved it. 9 sacks for this Bills defense. It was really just fun to watch them to go to work. And on a side note, just for the defense, 91 DT. I mean, Ed Oliver, he got the bag. We talked about it. And he's, I saw a stat on ESPN that he's second in the league in defensive tackle pressures at 15 to start the season, only behind, I think it's the rookie out of there from the Eagles. So like, it's pretty sweet, man. Like, or it might be Hargrove or whatever the case might be. But like, it's cool to see 91 pushing the pocket. That's what we wanted to see from him. That's what we wanted to see. I know everybody's not going to be Warren Sapp. We don't expect him to be Warren Sapp or Aaron Donald, but we do want him to be commensurate of a top 10 pick and push that pocket, make those guys uncomfortable, because no quarterback, as we've already talked about, likes pressure up the middle. 91 has been bringing it this season. He's second in the league in defensive tackle pressures. He's got 15 already.
Got to earn that bag, just like you said. The only interior defensive lineman on a contract, as you go through. And my boy Day is also at 92. He's pushing it as well. A good point I'd like to bring up on this defensive line is they're getting pressure. Who can afford a healthy scratch? Right. And because they're believing in Epineza, they're believing in Leonard Floyd off the edge, bringing Greg Rousseau inside, as we talked about in kind of the preseason, about that could be something that a nice little fold to this defense that we could see with Rousseau and that size coming in the middle. Yep. So this allows them, they're comfortable on the outside, which allows the middle of that pocket to be pushed back, and they're going to need that in full force this week against the Dolphins and all that size to make that happen. But kudos again. We really need that defensive line to continue pressure all season. It's where you win in the NFL. Your quarterback makes plays, and then your defense is getting to the other team's quarterback. That's the only way Tom Brady was ever stopped in his glory days. The only way Peyton Manning was ever stopped. The only way Patrick Mahomes was stopping that Super Bowl against the Bucs. What happened? The Bucs were all over Pat Mahomes. So it's the key to winning in the league, Rob. And this line has proven thus far that they got the moxie to kind of get it done. And I don't know where these offensive lines rank as we kind of move forward. Well, whatever. The fact of the matter is that they're getting home.
Yeah, no, I mean, they are getting home, and it's funny because you look at guys like AJ Epinesa. We've been critical of him in the offseason. He's got a pick 6, and a sack on the day. We talk about guys like Leonard Floyd that were brought in to do exactly what he did, and that is, we talked about in the offseason, just hold down the fort so that we're not missing 40 until he gets back. And not only is he holding down the fort, but he's providing great, reps for these guys. 2 sacks on the
injured
day.
Too. Injured.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming off an injury. Yeah. You talked about your boy Day-Day, Daquan Jones, a sack and a half. And then obviously Ed Oliver that we talked about with a sack and a half, and Rousseau with a sack on the day. I mean, 9 sacks is a lot for any defense on any Sunday. And the fact that they got them in bunches, it was really cool to see. Another cool thing to see, DT, for the defense was, Tre'Davious White, my guy, one of my favorite Buffalo Bills, getting a chance to get back in the intersection column. That was really fun to see, DT.
How sick was that?
I mean, the way he jumped that route, I was like, oh my goodness, leaping over, the hand-eye coordination, all of those types of things were just a little clicking on that play, and it was really fun to see. Same thing with Micah Hyde. You know, he's gone through his battles with the injuries this last year, and he was a little bit dinged up to start the season. But boy, the way he jumped that route, that is coaching. That is, film study. That is being, prepared and being in the right places, understanding schemes, understanding what's coming at you. You've seen it on film, and that way you're rocking back and you're kind of almost baiting the quarterback into a mistake. And it was really pretty to see how he jumped that route. As soon as that ball left his hand, he knew where it was going and he got a chance to jump into it. It was fun to see those guys kind of get back and get their confidence going, because as you talked about, they're about to be tested like no other this week.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see
exactly
what it's like.
Right. And for
you know
me,
what I'm talking
that,
about, though,
seeing
right?
them kind of be back themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and see them become themselves again, and when Trey White last year comes back, it's still a little skittish, and teams are kind of throwing at him, and he's not making plays, and you're like, oh, is he ever going to be back? And then you see a play like that, and it's like, that was the first team All-Pro play, we're looking for.
Right.
So
right.
It was nice to see Hyde, nice to see nice to see White really lock that up. I mean, that pick, that's Sports Center top 10 all day. Like,
all day.
That was insane. The only thing, he rolled out of the end zone, they got it on the 1 yard line. But that was
jumping over a guy, diving, hands. You got to be, you got to be real aware. You've got to be hyper aware and hyper, just really ready for the moment, because that ball's coming in quick, and you got to make sure you dive over the guy. And he just looked like like an old Trey White on that one. It was really beautiful. So listen, as we wrap up on this game, 17 was efficient again, DT. It was no type of big mistakes, nothing crazy in his performance. He did, do a little bit again of, taking what the defense gave him. Then, 218 yards, obviously is not a ton. He did have that deep pick later in the game, but it was no big deal. The thing that was really unlocked for him was, him running. He was running a little bit more on Sunday, DT. And I think that might be something that could be a good thing for the Bills against the Dolphins here on Sunday coming up. And we'll talk about that. But he ran the ball a little bit more. Obviously had that 10-yard touchdown run, but he wasn't really asked to do too much. We were in control. It was funny because second half it started and it was still 16-0. So it's only a 2-score game technically. And, I was getting a little bit nervous because I didn't want, I know the Jets game kind of gives me a little bit of nightmares, and I didn't want anything, weird to happen where we let them back in the game. But the defense was in such control that he didn't have to do anything really too flashy. To be honest, he had a nice touchdown to Gabe Davis that was really on a rope. But other than that, he really didn't have to do too much. 20 of 32, 218 yards. I know it's not anything that you write home about, but he also did stay out of the ditch. And I think that's important as well, just to continue to keep the car on the road as you start to progress when the defense is dominating the way that they were.
You could get a little nitpicky on the offense of the first and second downs were pretty bad. There was a graph of, the 17 first down plays were, 15 of the 17 were, 2 yards, 0 yards or negative. And then the one touchdown to Gabe Davis, they played the field position. The defense gave them with the turnovers. And like you said, just didn't do anything too crazy. And the scrambling I like to see, because we're going to see that, with that pressure coming. And I said it last week of, that all first round pick defensive line is going to bring, some heavy pressure, and that's the way to beat it. Just go right back into him and break that seal, and he'll have those open looks. He when he did have a nice slide, he did when I thought he was going to slide, kind of crank it outside for another 10 yards, and that's what he loves to do, and that's when he's his best, when he has that confidence under him and he's doing stuff like that. But I think we're going to see a lot more of that this year when defenses really try to bring it and bring that pressure right through the pocket. Josh squeezes through that one hole, and he's got 15 yards before anybody's even close to touching him. So like to see that. You could get a little nitpicky on that first week. It felt like first down was hard. Really didn't go downfield much. Didn't really get anything going. And then second down, you're running and so that's where the nitpick might come in, but it was by design. I think they took what they get when it's a different game and it's a different, type of deal. Maybe in a shootout this week, we're going to see different stuff on first down. I'm confident, and I would like to, say stuff like that we will see difference in there, and not just, these little dump out BS, no gain plays just to get the drives stalled out. But I think it was the nature of the game. It was the nature of what the defense was given. And I'm not, looking at it too much, but if you had to pick something out, it'd be that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, some of those, passes to Dalton Kincaid on the outside, and again, they're doing everything laterally. It seems like with him so far, nothing really, in the middle of the field quite yet. So we'll see if they've got some different things drawn up. It's funny they ran the ball well. James Cook, your boy Jimmy Cooks, ran it well again for a second consecutive week. Just missed 100 yards with 98, a great average on the day. It'll be interesting to see DT because as we transition, man. As my father would say, rest in peace. What in the ham sandwich is going on, man, with the Dolphins? 70 points, DT. I know that, you guys all know I'm a avid WGR listener. And so, they're talking maybe it's hyperbolic because are we acting this way because of 70 points? I don't give a damn almost about the opponent. I almost don't give a damn about the situation and how long the starters were out there, different things like that. 70 points is 70 points. It's only happened one other time in the league since the merger. A team that scored more points, and they set the record for yards, 726 yards of total offense. Absolutely ridiculous. What in the ham sandwich is going on, man? This seems like a team that I don't know, man. I don't know if McDaniel's breaking the mold or what, but it just seems like they are steps ahead. It's like the Shanahan offense, even on another level. And I don't even know how that's even possible because Shanahan runs a wonderful offense there in San Francisco. But his protege, McDaniel, man, this cat is just built a little bit different, man, with the way that they are running some of their motions. This is wild sauce, man. I was watching some of the stuff on Twitter, the cut-ups, and this is 70 points, DT. 70? Come on, man. That's Madden stuff, man. You hear me, DT? 70 points?
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, talk to me, man. Talk to me, man. Talk to me.
A complete slacking. And it started off, I mean, on that first, almost the second play of the game. I mean, you're if 80-yard touchdown to Tyreek Hill, and then, it just compounds after that. I mean, 70, definitely a little exaggerated. Probably at the 40-point mark, it looked like Denver just straight up gave up. In a way of, that was embarrassing, and I would not want any part of that organization, to be a part of that and give up on a stage like that, and think that that's acceptable in any manner. But the 40 to 10 is still a blowout, or whatever it was, 40 to 13. Right. And then at the end, it was just run after run after run, just to, run the clock out. And they could have scored more. It was,
they could have scored
points with 10 minutes left. So it's, I never going to see that again. Definitely aren't going to see that Sunday.
I know that's right.
It's something. I'm not saying it's nothing, but it's definitely a little more exaggerated than we like to think.
Oh, really? Okay, it's interesting. I mean, two running backs, Raheem Mostert and then A-Chain, they had 4 touchdowns each. You don't really hear that often coming out of a backfield. They just had a wonderful day. It seemed like everything seemed to work for them, and it was really crazy to watch. I mean, they pulled 2 with about 8 minutes to go. I thought that they could have scored around 84 points or so. They could have scored another 2 touchdowns if they really wanted to. So, I'll go with you on that. I understand that the opponent seemed to be a little bit checked out. And it showed in the way that they played. I don't, necessarily want to call guys quitting, because I'm not on the field, but it sure looked like they were just interested in the game, after the point of just getting beaten down so much. So it's crazy. The thing about McDaniel, DT, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it because this guy it's interesting because he is a young guy. He's innovative. He comes from that Shanahan tree, and it's a situation where I'm just interested to know what you think about him because you already know my affinity for Dable. You already know my affinity for the offensive side of the football. It's something that I've always longed for with the Bills. I want that offensive continuity. I want one of those young guys. I want one of those innovators to be running my team, to be honest. If they can't be the OC, go ahead and be the head coach. And I understand that we're not in that situation right now. But this McDaniel cat is different. Some of the stuff that he's doing is they talked about how it could be, like a CFL light, you know what I mean? Like where the CFL, they get a chance to get that running start. He's kind of doing that with the horizontal motions, orbit motions. He's doing a lot of different things that are making defenses kind of shit their pants, to be completely honest. And I'm wondering what you think about it because he's an innovator. He's somebody that I think is changing the game. I don't know. I mean, the game of the NFL is a lot of ebbs and flows, and people will catch up and stuff like that. But this guy seems to have it all together in that respect. And I'm interested to know what you think about him, because I think he's really sharp. I think that he's calling the games the way that we played the games on Madden. Like, we're going to throw this thing, we're going to create confusion. And now he's scheming up run game to go with it, and flip passes and different things like that. He just seems to be so versatile in his approach with their offensive scheme. And it's something that I'm concerned about. I'm not going to lie and sit here and tell you that we're getting ready to dominate on Sunday. We'll get predictions later in the show, but this cat he's on it, man. He's on it, DT, if you ask me.
It's creative. It's a new fad. Speaking of GR, the other day Ross Tucker was on, and I think it's Tuesdays with Shope and the Bulldog, and he was like, they're one big game away from having a nickname, to this offense of, greatest show on turf, or whatever the case is, and they are. I mean, if they do something like this again, it's going to happen. But was this new, Rob? Like, is this motion stuff new? Like, this is the first time the NFL has ever seen anything like this? Like,
well, I don't think it's the first time that we've seen motion. I mean, those coaches sometimes
but like the kind of the dressing. Canadian football.
I have never seen that. I think that is a consensus out there that we have never seen it's horizontal, and then you're getting your waddles, you're getting your hills full speed. And then they're going ahead and attacking on the snap count. So you got to have good precision with that. Everybody's got to be on the same page. I saw some plays, man, where they've got, Hill starting out looking like he's at in the slot. Then he's coming back to the backfield. Then he's racing right back out to the outside. And then he's getting all of the attention. There's one play that I watched particular. He got all the attention. They pitch it out to Chain, and he's running. And Hill was just essentially a blocker. And then they ran a different scheme off of that, later in the game. And it was like, it just seems like every play that they call has a spider web of other different options that they can run off of it. And the window dressing, as they call it, it's really fucking with defenses, because they have no idea where guys are going to be. And it's putting stress on them to make sure that they're aligned the right way. And I totally get it, because I'd be nervous if Tyreek Hill was running full speed at me. I know I would be as a quarterback.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And that's where the pressure, and that's part of it. It's like the Tiger Woods factor,
they're already beat before they get to the course. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The intimidation of, okay, this dude's faster than me. I got to make sure I'm here. And then that's all you're thinking about. You're not seeing the play develop and jumping on something that you might instinctively do if that wasn't in your head in the first place. So I think that's part of it. That's part of what it is. It was a very similar, vibe. This motion stuff might be new, but this offense in general was very similar last year. They used the speed, they used the zone run, they got it upfield and worked efficiently with that. But towards the end of the year, you started to see teams, disrupt that timing, disrupt the one, disrupt the two, and that led to some demise. And granted, then Tua goes out, and, a few other things happen and whatnot. But the Tom Brady feel of getting that ball out so quick, fast, into that first read, into that second read is tough to stop, because if you're not there disrupting it, it's there, and then it's there again, and it's there again, and it just chain reacts out through there. So I think it's a mix of intimidation and the fact that defenses are so worried about getting beat and getting burned with the speed that they're not doing their technical part of the defense and hitting their assignments, and they're 111. So it's going to be tough to stop. McDermott, though, past couple weeks has had great defensive game. Even week one, had a great defensive game plans. Granted, we might have not seen the best offenses in the world the past 3 weeks, but the defensive game plan, I feel, is always there. Josh plays good against these dudes. I'm confident, but it's going to be a tough offense to stop.
Yeah, it's interesting. They're operating at a different level for sure. I mean, I know he comes from try to answer. I don't really know the answer to it, other than the fact that he comes from that Shanahan tree, and Shanahan is an innovator, and he does those motions, and he does a lot of the different window dressing things to get the defense put in stress situations. But this is really on another level in respects to like I said, the horizontal motions, and there's so many different things that are moving, so many different parts that are moving, that is putting the stress on the defenses. And yes, Denver definitely quit. But in the beginning of the game, they look lost. So that's the one thing that I'm kind of looking to and kind of holding on to, is the fact that the Bills have to be buttoned up. And as we continue to transition, I wanted to talk about the matchups, because this is really something where I think that it's going to be it's predicated on looking a little bit at the New England game. So it would probably be, incumbent upon McDermott to make sure that he takes a look at the film. Now, obviously, the coaches do that, and they're, it's a copycat league, all those different types of things that we talk about. So we know that he's going to look and see what Belichick did to kind of stifle him. I think they held him to 24 points. I've heard that they ran a lot of those 3 safety looks. Taylor Rapp hasn't looked the best for us, but maybe we've got to put him out there on the field and maybe give them some different looks. I'm interested to know what can we do to slow them down, because before we flip the ball and go with Buffalo's offense, I'm more worried about the pass rush. It doesn't matter if you're winning up front if he's going to get the ball out that fast. And I heard that he's throwing the ball to his first read like 80% of the time, or something like that. And I heard that on GR from Joe Marino, I think. And like that's a crazy stat. That means that wherever his eyes are going to start the play, he's probably going to throw the ball there. So that does give you a little bit of advantage to know that he's probably leaning towards that first read. However, you got to make sure that you're in the right zone, that you're sitting down in the right spots, all eyes on the quarterback, and then also making sure that you're in your run fits as well, because they will run the ball, as they've shown you with Mostert and A-Chain. So my thing is that I want to make sure that the defense is ready to go, because I don't know how much they can pull from that New England game. But I think it would behoove McDermott to kind of figure out what frustrated them that night up in Foxborough, because other than that, they've just been a scoring show. I mean, even against the Chargers, they put up a ton of points.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see, Kyer Elam or DeMar Hamlin in the game
active,
in this
okay.
one. Yeah, get that extra, more of a hockey shift type defensive backfield.
Really?
Keep rotating them out. Keep them fresh. Keep them moving. Give them different looks as well. Maybe 3 safeties. Maybe people up in the box. Maybe back and forth in that regard. Because Jalen, I haven't updated. I haven't looked too much into injuries this week, but Jalen Waddle's probably going to be back. He was out last week.
That's crazy that they did all that without him.
Yeah, right. So it's another fold and even scarier. But I think in that regard, yes, take from the Patriots tape, but with that, create your own little version to it to get back on this Bills defensive line, who's played so great the first 3 weeks of the season. Even though Tua does get the ball out and it's tough to get to him, they're going to, any chance they get, they're going to have to disrupt it and get to him. And maybe that is bringing somebody like Greg Rousseau into that middle, getting those hands up, that big 6'7" frame. It's going to be tougher to get it across the middle when you got dudes like that, hands up. So it'll be interesting. But I expect to see, those dudes on the field, see Kyer Elam, see a little more rotation, back to a couple of years ago when it was almost like a hockey style defensive rotation.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even sound that crazy, because Elam is one of your faster corners. The speed in the secondary has been questioned. Hyde and Boyer getting longer in the tooth, different things like that. So we've talked about all of those things in the offseason. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think it's been funny that it's just been funny that Elam can't get a jersey, and I think that's been one of the things that's been kind of weird. I know that they love Benford, and he's been well, but even in a rotational point, they don't even want to give him a jersey on Sundays. So that's a little bit weird. So if he's not up for this week, then I would have really some doubts about his future with the Buffalo Bills starting with next offseason, because this would be a week that you would think that you want all hands on deck, as many available bodies, not even just for injuries, but just for the fact of how many plays. I mean, this team can run a bunch of plays, depending on their drives. They had a bunch of their drives were long drives. They were 60-something plus yard drives. So it wasn't all just bombs on Sunday for the Dolphins. They were doing methodical stuff as well. And then obviously getting the home runs as well with their run game. So it'll be interesting to see, DT, as we flip the ball and we start to transition. It's funny, man. I heard somebody say today, it might have even been Marino, like that, listen, the Bills can cause some troubles, for Vic Fangio on that defense as well. And I agree with that. My main thing is that I don't have any problems necessarily with the offense. I'm just wondering, you're right about the first and second down. I'm more worried about is Josh still denying throws, basically, or turning down easy throws, or whatever the case may be. Like, I'm not sure about this Dalton Kincaid thing. It seems like everything that Dorsey is drawing up for him is lateral to the line of scrimmage. I'm pretty sure that's not how you want to use him. I thought he was going to be a slot receiver when they told us all this shit, to start the season about, things to expect from him. And I know that he's a rookie, but I haven't seen that unlocked yet. So I'm wondering if that's going to get unlocked this week. I don't know if they're holding stuff back. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm looking for the offense they've come by their points, TT. I'm not complaining. I'm just trying to figure out, is Josh turning down throws, or is he just not making the throws, or is it just not being schemed up that way? because it just seems like, this past week, like you talked about, it was just some weird calls, first and second downs. The offense didn't do too much in respects to explosive plays. And I think that you're going to have to be explosive on Sunday. I really do. I think that there could be a chance where you give them the ball, 4 or 5 plays, bing, bang, boom, they've scored a touchdown. Okay, Josh on the field. Now it's time for Ken Dorsey to respond, and I want to make sure that they can.
Yeah, I think they're capable of getting downfield, and like I said, I'm going to be confident in the fact of that kind of was the game plan, and they took what the game gave them over the past couple weeks.
Defense was so dominant.
Yeah, exactly. We're efficient when they needed to be, and when they need to turn up the heat and the pressure a little bit, they got that in the repertoire. I mean, you got a quarterback that obviously loves to do shit like that. So it's definitely in the gun somewhere. It's definitely in the gun somewhere. So there's a lot of talent all over the ball on the offensive end, and I think similar to this Commanders game, they're going to bring that pressure. The Dolphins did last year in Miami. All 3 games, they brought heavy pressure to Josh. There were almost zero blitzing at points. So that's going to be a result of we're going to have to hit them back with aggressiveness as well on the offensive end. And if this, even on defense, if they score 25, 30 points, the offense obviously to win the game is going to have to score 25 to 30 points. So and they have obviously no issue of doing that, as we've seen the past couple of weeks. But the fact of fighting aggression with aggression, and that's not hucking it down the field and being completely mindless and all that type of things. But, having a first down play that's, a post route to Diggs for 25 yards, having a first round play to maybe James Cook on a nice little
wheel route,
triangle route, up the middle for 12, 15. So I think it's in the repertoire, and like you said, maybe they were kind of hiding some stuff. And when you're up, 37-3, you don't need to get exactly. Yeah. So that's what it's for. And in a divisional game that it might come out, and we might see some stuff that that's what we're looking for on that first and second down. So I'm confident, we'll see that when the game gives us that. You're going to see that aggression fight with aggression.
Yeah, I mean, I really hope so. I don't like picking on Ken Dorsey or anything like that, and I know that he's an easy punching bag when things don't go well, and he's also a punching bag when things do go well, because then people are still complaining. I listen to people complaining about him, so I want to try to get to the root of what's going on. I do not like the second down runs. I'll be honest about that. I never liked that from any OC. It doesn't matter if it was I don't get it.
Who would like those second down runs? Yeah. What is best case scenario on a second down run?
Yeah, man, maybe 4 yards.
But what's the second?
Well, best case scenario is a first down, but it's most likely going to be between
second best case scenario, 3 to 5 yards. So you're in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. It never makes sense. Never makes sense to me.
I don't get it. So I'm hoping that they get away from that habit, because again, these guys coming from South Beach, they can strike quick. We've seen it obviously on display throughout this season, and they're setting records up there. That's so funny that Ross Tucker said. I didn't hear that part, but yeah, they are getting dangerously close to a damn nickname in a minute, because they're putting it on people, and I just am impressed. I like to give like I said, credit, honor where it's due. I like McDaniel. I like the way that he coaches. And it seems like he's always got his foot to the gas in that respect. Obviously, they pulled off on Sunday, but he's trying to score on every single possession, period. Yeah. And I like that mentality. Sometimes McDermott is a little bit more conservative for my taste, and this just the difference between offensive and defensive. That's all.
Rob, it's first down last game. It's first quarter, excuse me. It's 14-7, Dolphins Broncos. 14-7. Dolphins go for it on their own 40 on 4th down. They don't get it. Broncos get the ball down 14-7 in the first quarter in Miami territory. And, Russell Wilson sucks. He takes a sack, and they got a punt, and, it's crazy after that. But that's a point of there was an opportunity, even if it gets kind of a little out of hand in Buffalo this week, and it's like, oh, shit, they're back, and they get up on us by 2 scores, and it's 14-7. Like, there was still an opportunity for Denver to get back into that game.
Right.
And, so it's not. So
answering is going to be important this week then, answering.
Quickly overshadowed, but it wasn't a complete lost cause. It was for 3 quarters, but there was still, some competitive juice in there. So I'm saying even worst case scenario, it gets a little out of hand and they get up on us a few scores. They probably will give us some opportunity to get back in the game.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. I mean, I'll be interested in it. This is a big week. It's a big matchup. I know that obviously there's so much football to be played, but I really do feel like the winner of this game could be in the driver's seat for the division. I'm still not worried about New England too much. I'm still not worried, obviously, about the Jets because they're floundering as well now since the Rodgers injury week 1 against us. So this could be, now it could come down all the way to the end of the season, and we've got to match up the second week. The second matchup in South Florida, and that's for the division, where the case may be. But this is a big one. You already let the Jets game slip, so you've got one loss already in the division. This is a big one to go ahead and get. You're at home. The crowd's going to be into it. You already know that will be in full force, and it'll be interesting to see how they respond because I do think that the Dolphins can get after it a little bit, and you might have to answer some of their blows. Now, as we transition tonight and then begin to wrap up, we've got another Nickel City Crew tailgate report. We're going to give them to you. Doesn't matter home or away. DT, we were still, getting our Gatorades, our Pedialytes after the first week of the Bills holiday and kind of, recovering from week 2. What was it like for you, man, enjoying the game? What were you up to? I know that on my end here, we laid low, man. I had, my Kings with me. Their mothers came over and, brought some chicken wing dip and some other stuff for the kids to eat. And we had a crazy rager party the night before, Bobby.
Yeah, how was that?
Oh,
how was the birthday party?
Oh, my God. 11 kids, DT. 11 kids in my house for Bobby's birthday party, and it was just wild. So what happened was that we had Bobby's football game, and then we told the parents to meet us at the house afterwards. And we figured you have enough time to have Bobby shower, and then we'll have a little bit of downtime before they come. Man, we had walked to the door. One kid is already there, like ready to meet us at the door. So I'm like, Bobby, run, man, get in the shower, start getting yourself ready. And they just started coming, man, like cockroaches, man. They just kept showing up. Like more kids kept getting dropped off. So it was funny, man. I've got like a little portable basketball hoop. So I was in the garage, and then they were all outside in the back alley. And I was like, you know what? Let me just roll this down, man. We'll roll down. So I said, go ahead, grab these bags of sand. So the boys grabbed the bag of sand. A couple of them are grabbing the big bags of sand, and they're following me. And I rolled the portable hoop all the way down to my pool, which is very close, and they just repaved it, DT. So they actually put basketball lines on the park or a portion of the parking lot. So I brought the hoop down, put it in there, and they played basketball, DT. They were at the park. They played all night long. It seemed like till it went dark, and it was really, really cool, man. We had pizza at the park. It was cool, man. Cupcakes, and that was really good for me because then my house doesn't have to get dirty. I'm a clean freak, so I was like, perfect. I don't have to clean that shit up. Throw everything out in the trash cans at the park. So it was really cool, man. He had a great time. But boy, when we got back to that house, DT, it was mayhem, man. I was like, stay upstairs. Do not come downstairs unless you need to get some damn water. Other than that, stay upstairs. Stay out of my office, and you can have the whole rest of the upstairs. But it was really cool. They were well behaved. They stayed up all night, DT. It was like I tried to outlast them. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and I'm going up there. I'm like, there's like 5 kids that were still up. Like Bobby had already gone to sleep, and there's like 5 kids that are still up. And I'm looking at their eyes. I'm like, what are y'all still doing? Like, oh, we're playing this, and this. I'm like, oh my gosh, stay quiet. I'm going to bed. Quincy is asleep with me downstairs. Just stay quiet. And they did, man. So it was really fun, man. They had a great time. Bobby had a great time.
Good.
And they had a good time hanging out. So I just hung low, man. After that rager the night before, I was just chilling, man. And their mothers came over and brought some stuff for me to nibble on. And then other than that, man, I was just watching the game. And I was not in the mood to do anything. No bars, no nothing. I was cool. They took everything out of me.
It was a nice lay low weekend up here in the Buff as well. Went down with the parents, did a little of that on Friday and Saturday, came back early Sunday, and didn't get a hold of anybody, didn't try to aggressively take plans. I agree. It was a nice lay low. Had the you see living room senior, living room junior. Got the Sunday ticket, so this was kind of my first, because week 1 I was at the game, and then week 2 we were at the game, and then so this is my first experience to try to juggle, Sunday ticket and the Bills on both TVs on junior and senior, and kind of work that all around, and so that was fun getting the hang of that and getting my remote game in check, and it was a nice low key day. The game obviously felt like a W early, and it kind of filtered through. The 4:00 games were kind of trash, so. That allowed me to we made some tacos here at the Bachelor Pad, some nice nice tacos. Overdid it, made way too much. So we've
Sure.
been eating tacos for 3 days now. So
You had Taco Tuesday and Wednesday.
yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So probably got to get something different tonight. But yeah, low key was a good, kind of revamp week, revamp win, and yeah, was a good day.
Now, what are your plans for Sunday? I know that you and I won't be together. I'm supposed
Yep.
to leave on Saturday as normal, and I'll be up there sometime in the afternoon. Is the plan right now? What are your plans? Because you've got some cool plans coming up through your job. So tell the crew about what you've got planned up for this week, because it sounds like it's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be a good weekend. Obviously, tough one not to be there in the stadium and
Squish the fish
in the
week. I
tailgate with the
know.
crew, and
I know.
gonna be a big one. Gonna be loud. We're 75 and sunny. We're looking at
Oh yeah,
for a
so
forecast.
beautiful. So
It's gonna
beautiful.
be primo. It's gonna be primo. But yeah, this weekend they have a shout out active listener to the crew, Noah. And
Oh yeah,
and
my
his
boy.
family, they have a nice setup up on Lake Ontario,
Okay.
up north in like the Youngstown area.
Okay.
So nice little like outdoor indoor barn,
Okay.
electric. Got a few TVs in there. Real nice spot.
Oh, real cool.
And I'm going to be hosting my all my employees at work. We're doing a little party up there,
Okay.
a little viewing party. We're going to be smoking some pork butt.
Okay. There you go.
Got
Beautiful.
some pulled pork going. We're gonna have some meatballs. We're gonna have some dogs on the grill. We got a keg in there. It'll be a good time. So, getting all the employees up. And majority of my driving team is all retired, older guys. So they're looking forward for something to do and get away and enjoy this day. So, gonna miss you guys. Gonna be a great day to be at the stadium and feel that energy. But we're gonna have a good day up on Lake Ontario as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. I had reached out to Big Ben and Kenny and stuff like that, trying to figure out plans, and they're not going to be making it up this week. So my plans were already tempered anyway. And if I'm not, it's still up in the air. But if I get up there, I should get up there. And if I do, I'll probably just take advantage of the fact that I don't have to come pick you at 6:30 in the morning to pick you up, and I'll probably
you can
just
sleep in till daylight.
Sleep in, and out. Yep, and I'll probably just go get. I love the original Pancake House. So they've got they've only got one here in Charlotte. And I missed that place. I used to go to the one that I graduated from Williamsville South, as you know. So I used to go to the one on Main Street all the time in Williamsville back home. And they've got one down here, and it's forever away. So I rarely get a chance to go there. And so if that's the case, if I'm up, I'll go to the Pancake House right there in OP. Right up from the stadium, and get some breakfast, get my paper, feel like a true fan, and have my stuff on and kind of just relax, because it'll be a little bit more chill than with you when we're up at the crack of dawn beating the parking lot employees or whatever. So it seems like it seems like it's going to be more of a chill week when it comes to the tailgate. But again, no place I'd rather be in Squish the Fish week. I mean,
not going to be chill inside. That's for
sure. The stadium's going to be full throttle, DT. I mean, it was what I talked about in the beginning of the show. Like, the rivalry extends back. So there's different portions of Bills Mafia that it means something different too. And for our age demographic, I like you said, I'm a little bit older than you, but like Dan Marino and the Mark brothers, like that, like we couldn't stand the Dolphins because they were good. And that's what makes a rivalry. We were never good against the Patriots, so I never considered it one. And this is it's fun, man. I like the fact that the Dolphins are the talk of the league right now. I like all of that type of stuff because I want to squish the fish on Sunday, bring them back down a peg, bring them back to reality. I want to get after them. I think that the Bills can get it done on Sunday being at home. It brings something. Just rivalries just bring something out of you. It's just different than a regular 1 o'clock game against a random team that you rarely see. It just hits a little bit different.
Yeah, and for the past couple of years now, it's kind of been the chip on the shoulder, just shutting the Dolphins up a little bit. They're who they're thinking they really are, and kudos, great week last week, great start to this season. But let's knock them down a few pegs and show them who the king of this division is, and squish the fish the real way. I mean, Bills still, everyone, the Dolphins. We're worried about the Dolphins. Vegas has the Bills at -3 right now. They're home.
Yeah.
They're home favorites, and the line is only ticking that way. So it's it's not going to be no 70-point blowout. That's for sure. Y'all going to be ready to go on third down. Well, any down really. It's not just third down in games like
full
this.
Throttle.
It's first through third and
full throttle.
It was loud in there 2 weeks ago, Rob, and I'm sure it's going to be even louder in this one. 75 and some.
Yeah, I mean, 75 sunny, perfect weather. Everything is just going to be kind of set the stage for it to be a wonderful day. So I'm excited for it. I know you are as well. I hope that you have some fun up there in Lake Ontario and enjoy your peoples at work. That sounds like a really fun thing. So that again is the Nickel City Crew, excuse me, tailgate report. I've had a blast again, DT. It's good catching up with you. I'm sorry I'm going to miss you this week, but we'll be back together before you know it, man. I mean, this is it. I'm excited, man. The juice is flowing. These weeks get me going, and the juice is definitely flowing. I can't wait for Sunday to come, and I know that you can't wait as well. So enjoy the game, DT, because this is what it's all about, man. Go take your division opponent. You're at home. Get your crowd into it, and go take care of business because you want to add up these wins, but the divisional games are worth twice as much. They really are. There's no way around it.
Huge. I said it in the beginning of the show. You're super excited for the season. The season starts, and it's kind of almost a little numbness to it, because it's like, oh, it's actually happening. And now, week 3, week 4, now you've kind of transitioned, and you're accustomed to it now, and you're ready to go, baby.
Yeah.
And this is a great week to be ready to go. This is a great week to be ready to go. I'm pumped up, Rob.
You damn right.
And this game isn't end all be all. Let's get that across.
We'll keep the proper perspective. We'll keep the proper perspective.
This game is no end all be all, but man, it'd be real nice to get this W. It'd mean a lot for to knock them down a little bit, get some confidence for us. You go in with these teams of the Kansas City's right there. The Bengals barely escaped 0-3 the other day. Like these wins mean something this early. So it's not end all be all, but it would mean a lot to knock these jerks off, man.
Yeah, man. Let's stack it up, man. Let's send them back to South Florida, feeling sad for sure. And their coach is so damn cool and all this other stuff. And he's wearing that shirt last year, trolling us and all. I wish it was colder. So let's give him a little bit of taste of his own medicine. The weather would be great. There'll be no excuses out there on the football field. And I love when games are like that. I don't, that one game in Miami and it's a damn heat stroke and Stephon Diggs got double IVs and all this other stuff. Yep, we lost, but damn, Mother Nature played a part. I love it when there's no extra additives to it. It's just football.
Just ball, baby.
Just ball, baby. Click, clack, we back. So I love it, man. As always, man, please spread love, not hate. These were my Bills thoughts said out loud. Hit them with a Go Bills, DT. I mean, this Squish the Fish week. Hit them with a Go Bills, man. Let's go.
Go Bills. Go Bills. Go Bills. 3-1.